What's up, you guys? My name is Tia and welcome to my DIY channel, Urban Muse. And today we are going to make a boho yarn wall hanging. For me, it has been taking so long to do this just because I'm a student, so I've been procrastinating and kind of putting this on the back burner. But I have this negative space on my wall that I've been dying to do something with, so today is the day because I got time. But yeah, it was inspired by something I found on Pinterest, and while I was on Pinterest, you know, when you find things, it's like, oh, you can find this item here, this is how much it is. But for me, I had no luck, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna pull a catfish and try to find this item. So I dropped it into Google and I still couldn't find it. But I mean, it wasn't, now that I think about it, it's not a big deal because I could just DIY it for what, maybe $10 at max, $20 if you're trying to be fancy. But yeah, so today that's what we're about to do, and so let's get on with the video.
Okay, so here's the material that we need for this project. It is very simple. You just need black and white yarn. You also need a ruler, a pen, or a pencil just to make the markings. And then in that container I have nails, or whatever you want to use to hang it up, and then a pair of scissors. And then if you want to be a stick lady like me, you can go outside and find a free stick. If not, you can also go to places like Michael's and get a dowel, which could also work just perfectly for this project. Sorry guys, I forgot to include that in order for us to make the tassels, you'll need a hard surface to wrap them around. Initially, I was going to wrap them around my hand, but I wanted something longer. So for this project, I will be using this acrylic square because I like the length. And you can also use like a book or whatever is around your house that you think will work for the length that you want. Okay, so first I measured the whole thing so I can figure out what point I don't want my strings to go past. And for me, that happened to be 5.5. From then, I then marked and measured the inside center, which is where the tassels would be. Altogether, that was 32 inches, but as you can see, I marked the center, which was 16. And then from there, I made 5 additional markings on each side of the midpoint because you need 11 tassels. And each marking was also spaced 2.5 inches apart. Since I like the spacing intervals, I went over each line with a red marker to make them more visible. I also put X's so that it indicated which point I did not want the strings to go past. Alright, for this part you are going to need your yarn and you will need your hard surface. You will start by wrapping the yarn around your hard surface about 40 times. Once you have finished wrapping your string around the hard surface 40 times, you want to make sure to cut the end of your string where you started. And then we are going to cut out another piece of string that is 25 inches long. So once you are done with that, you will now create another string that is 100 inches because this is what you will use to connect your tassel to your stick or your dowel. At this point, you can also measure it however you like. I measured mine out by first reading 60 and then I went back and measured out 40 inches to achieve my 100. We have now made it to the fun part where we can put together our tassel. What we will do now is take that string that was 100 inches, put it together and pull it so that they are symmetrical. Once you have achieved that, you can then take the string off of your hard surface so that you can then tie your strings together. We will do this by making a double knot. You should now have a loop that you will cut opposite of the string. Next, we are going to make the wrap that goes around the tassel. To do so, you are going to need your 25-inch string that we cut earlier, as well as your ruler. And then from there, we are going to make a loop. You are going to want to make your loop at least 3 inches because you are going to begin wrapping the string around the loop at 2 inches. I ended up wrapping my string around my loop 10 times, but if you don't want to be consistent, you can just wrap it until the string about runs out. I would leave maybe about 3 inches left so that you can have enough room to place your string inside the loop. Once the string is inside the loop, you can then find the little string attached to the loop and pull it so that the string that you used to wrap around the loop is now securely placed inside the wrap. Now just cut off any excess and you are done. Wasn't that easy? But now you have to make 11. To finish off these tassels, you just need to trim the bottom. I just eyeballed it and did a rough trim. You can be more precise and use a ruler, but with me, I know with DIYing, things aren't always perfect, so I thought it looked good and went with it. Congrats, you guys, we have finally made it to the point where we can add the tassels. I had already measured out that I wanted my middle tassel to be 21 inches from the stick. And then to place the other tassels, I just made each tassel 2 inches higher than the previous tassel. As you can see, I did not use my measuring tape because I knew each wrap on the tassel was 2 inches. So basically, I just placed one head of the tassel above the other. Once the tassels are placed where you want it, you can now secure it to the stick. For me, I just wrapped it around the stick 3 times, and then I made a double knot. And then cut the excess. Here is a close-up of the technique that I used. Again, I just wrapped it 3 times, and I did start off center from the line that I wanted it to be so that the knot would be centered at the interval line. This part goes by pretty fast, so just keep going until you have all 11 tassels secured. Okay, now we're going to make the part of the wall hanging where the black strings are dipping above the tassels. You will need 4 of these black strings that are each 140 inches long. For me, I measured out 60, 60, and 20, which got me to 140, but you can measure it however you can to get you to 140. To add the strings, there is no right or wrong way to go about this. I basically just eyeballed where I wanted the string to be or where I thought it looked good and just kept going with it. Personally, for this part, I felt that wrapping the strings over and then underneath the stick was much easier, as it gave me more control when trying to keep the strings in place when I tied them all together. With your strings now in place, you will simply just wrap the strings together 1 time around the stick. That way it still leaves room in case you want to adjust your strings later. Now you want to tie the other side and then you'll trim the ends. To trim the outer strings, I lined up my scissors with the bottom of the wrapped portion of the highest tassel. And again, I don't mind if my 2 sides aren't cut identical, but if you do, then I recommend using your measuring tape. To finish off this part of the wall hanging, you just need to tie the ends together. To do this, I cut out a piece of white string that was 15 inches, and then I used the same looping method I used earlier on the tassels to tie the strings together. You could also just use a simple knot as well. For step 4, we're going to make the long black cords. First, we need to cut out 3 strings that are each 130 inches. And to obtain this, I measured out 60 twice and then 10 inches. At this point, you might also be thinking that this is a lot of yarn, but you want to make sure that you have more than you need, just in case you mess up, and we also have to trim it later. So next we have to cut out the white string that is going to wrap around the black strings to make the cord. For this part, you will need to cut out 2 white strings that are each 68 inches. To create the black cording, you are going to line up one end of the 3 black strings and then line up the other end. Once you've done that, you are then going to bring both ends together to create a bundle of string that is now half the size of the original. We're then going to place that bundle of string behind the stick with the stick positioned at half the length of the string. Once you've done that, then you're going to fold the top strings over onto the bottom strings. To now get that spiral effect around the black cording, we are going to split the black cords in half and then tie the white strings into the middle. And then you are going to pull the white string behind the bundle of strings because you want the spiral to start from the back so that it looks nice on the front. Once you have reached the bottom, you just simply tie a knot. I did this by connecting the last string to the last spiral. And then as per usual, you just want to cut off any excess. Now just do the same thing to the other side and remember to count how many spirals you did, that way it just saves you a little time. For step 5, we're just adding finishing touches, and this will consist of adding black string onto our tassels. We'll first begin by measuring out a piece of string that is 15 inches long, but you will also need to make 10 more later. We are now going to use the same looping technique that we used to create our tassels, so that we can now wrap and secure the black strings around the top of our tassels. I am now going to place the loop just slightly below where the string and the tassel connects. After that, you want to pinch the black loop and the white string together, and then begin wrapping the long black piece of string around the loop. I ended up wrapping around the loop 5 times, but you can always do more or less depending on how long you want that portion above the tassel to be. At this point, if you have not mastered the looping technique, then you will definitely be a pro after wrapping all of these tassels. You guys, we are pretty much done. All we have to do is add the final touches. I am now going to trim the ends of the black cording, and I basically lined it up with the bottom of the 3rd tassel. Right, you guys, we are now done, and here is the final product. Alright, you guys, we are now done with this DIY. It was super easy and it looks so good. I mean, my apartment now feels more cohesive and complete. So yeah, if you liked this video, hit that like button, and if you loved it, then why not join the Muse team, as we are striving to become our own muses through DIYs. Also, leave a comment if you liked it, if you have any ideas or any other recommendations for maybe my next video. Thanks for watching. See ya.